Today I wanted to talk to you all about some reflections, advice, and lessons that I learned from the few years I've been in the industry now. But first, I kind of wanted to give a bit of a more informal introduction about myself. So that's me. I'm a software engineer at Bank of America. I work in the rates space within global markets technology. But outside of work, I love running and I love coffee. So I would welcome any conversations about those two things or questions. But now on to some of the reflections and lessons and advice. I think the first thing from the 2.5 to almost 3 years of working in the finance industry that I learned is documenting your achievements. I think women don't talk about their achievements enough, and women are more statistically likely to get imposter syndrome, and that's why it's so important to document your achievements. So within this category, I wanted to talk about 3 things that I've been doing and implementing that I would encourage all of you to do. The first thing is having a positive feedback folder. And a positive feedback folder is essentially a folder in your email where any positive feedback you get from any stakeholder that you've worked with, you move to that folder. And it works for many reasons. Number 1, it works in your favor when you're having a bad day, or when you start doubting yourself, or when you start thinking that you're not doing well at your job, and you can go and look at that folder, because I think I've had that a lot. And you go and look at that folder and you're like, oh, actually, I am doing okay. And these stakeholders clearly think that I'm doing my job and I'm doing my job well. So it's really good for that. It's also very good when it comes to review time, because if you forget something that you've done in the past year, because we do, because of something called recency bias, where we remember mostly the things that we've done more recently, and you might forget things that you've done 6 to 9 months ago. You go back to that folder and it reminds you of the things that you've delivered or the good work that you've done, and it's great for that reason. The second thing I would really encourage you to consider doing is 360 feedback. If your company doesn't already offer a way of automatically doing 360 feedback within Teams, I would encourage you to ask everyone you work with, regardless of what they do or how senior or junior they are, to give you feedback once you've worked with them. It is an excellent way of improving your own work and your own both soft skills and technical skills, but it's also a really good way of backing yourself up when you ask for a promotion or when you go in for your review, because you can see, you can also spot patterns between what people tell you. So, you know, if everyone's commenting and saying, oh, you have really good communication skills, then you know that's a strength you have. And it also allows you to work on things that you might realize that you need to improve on, if that's a lot of the feedback that you're getting from people. Because getting feedback from one person is good, but sometimes that they can have a specific view or a specific bias or a specific opinion. So it's good to gather feedback from a lot of people. The second thing I wanted to talk about today, in the category of lessons, reflections, and advice, is essential roles that you need. And I kind of specifically made this title vague because I wanted to talk about your network. And I think we've spoken about that a lot today. But how do you find these 3 key roles: your coach, your mentor, and your sponsor? And I have found that the best way in the workplace or in the industry to find these is through networks, so employee networks or events like this. If you're not already part of employee networks at work, I would really encourage you to join. That's where I was able to find mentors. That's where I was able to find coaches in the most organic and genuine way of building a connection with someone. Shout out to one of my mentors. She's here today. And with sponsors, ideally your manager should be your first sponsor because they work with you directly, but that's not always the case. So it's good to venture out and try to build sponsors who are more senior people that will go out and advocate for you. Your manager should be advocating for you, and have those open conversations with them to try and build that relationship. I wanted to keep this short and sweet and cover some of those lessons. So that's everything from me. I hope this was useful, and I'll pass it on. Thank you.